Your mind is a magnet. Train it or be trapped by it. There is no prison more powerful than the one built in your own mind, and there is no freedom more exhilarating than unlocking its gates. Every man, every woman walking this earth is either being led by their thoughts or chained to them. You either command your mind like a master or you obey it like a slave. Because here's the truth no one told you in school. Your mind is a magnet. It pulls into your life exactly what it's trained to seek, not what you want, but what you believe. Wanting is weak, wishing is a whisper, but belief is a force. It reshapes reality, it warps circumstance, it magnetizes people, places and ideas toward you with uncanny precision. That's why two people can grow up in the same home, the same environment, and one ends up building empires while the other breaks under excuses. It's not chance, it's mental conditioning. You become what you rehearse in your head. Most people think life is unfair, but what they call unfair is just untrained thinking. Their mind is unguarded, undisciplined, a sponge soaking up doubt, fear, negativity and noise. And like a magnet tuned to weakness, it attracts more of it. More stress, more failure, more confusion, more lack. But you, if you're hearing this, you're not most people. You're here to reclaim your mind. Because until you do, nothing else sticks. No strategy, no plan, no vision. Everything you try to build will collapse under the weight of mental chaos, unless you restructure the magnet first. So ask yourself, what have I trained my mind to attract? What stories do I repeat when no one's listening? What images dominate my imagination? What internal dialogue runs in the background when I'm quiet? Because that's what's steering your life, not your goals, not your talent, not your prayers, your patterns. And patterns come from programming. They're installed over time, by repetition, environment, trauma, media, language, experience. But here's the gift. What's been programmed can be reprogrammed. Your mind is not a cage. It's clay. It bends to command, but only if the command is clear, repetitive, and rooted in belief. This is why affirmations aren't magic spells. They're mental weightlifting. You don't say, I am powerful once and expect change. You install it. Every morning, every night, until the old voice of fear gets drowned in a new frequency. Because that's what this is, a frequency game. And your mind is a signal tower. Tune it to gratitude and you'll start noticing opportunity. Tune it to fear and everything becomes a threat. Tune it to purpose and distractions lose their grip. Tune it to discipline and chaos becomes clarity. But if you don't train it, if you don't own your frequency, the world will assign it for you. And trust me, the world profits from your confusion. It wants you addicted, scrolling, comparing, panicking, consuming. Because a scattered mind is a controlled mind, and nothing makes people easier to manipulate than doubt. That's why the most rebellious, powerful thing you can do is to take back your own thoughts, to question what you were told was normal, to pause the noise and reprogram your inner soundtrack, to stop asking, what if I fail, and start asking, what if I don't change anything? Because failure isn't final, stagnation is. And when you do nothing, your magnet stays set to default. It attracts more of what's always been. So how do you shift it? Start with awareness. Every thought you think is a vote, a signal, a magnetized seed that becomes action, then identity, then life. Catch the weak thoughts, interrupt them. When your mind whispers, I'm not enough, you say, I am becoming more than enough. When it says, what if I lose? You say, what if I learn something no one else is willing to learn? When it says, who am I to do this? You say, who am I not to do this? Because the future isn't written in fate, it's written in focus. And your focus is the current that powers your magnet. Now let's talk about that focus. Do you even know what you're aiming it at? Most people don't. They're reactive, passive, mental drifters. Napoleon Hill called them the 98%, those who let their mind drift through life, directed by others, ruled by circumstance, enslaved to emotion. But the 2%? The rare ones? They choose their thoughts like tools. They craft visions so real they can taste them. And then they tune their minds like magnets toward those visions and act accordingly. That's the level of mental discipline you need to unlock real change. Because everything external, money, health, love, peace, is attracted by who you are internally. That's the law. You don't chase what you want. You become someone it chases. So if your life looks average, ask yourself this. Brutally, what kind of magnet have I become? Because you're always attracting. Always. Even in silence, even in stillness, even in sleep, your mind is casting signals, and the universe is responding. If you've been attracting heartbreak, check your self-worth. If you've been attracting lack, check your beliefs about abundance. If you've been attracting procrastination, check the identity you've settled for. You've got to shift from "I want change" to "I am the change." From "I hope it gets better" to "I command it to." And that command only works when it comes from alignment. From thought to emotion to action to identity. When those align, your magnet becomes undeniable. People call it luck, but it's not luck. It's law. The law of cause and effect. The law of vibration. The law of attraction, not just as a gimmick, but as a discipline. You don't just sit and dream. You tune your magnet through belief, repeat the signal through action, and reinforce it through consistency. That's how you become a magnet for miracles. But here's the warning. If you don't train it, it will trap you. An untrained mind is the most dangerous liability in your life. It'll sabotage success. It'll amplify fear. It'll make comfort feel like home when comfort is the enemy. It will trick you into settling, into delaying, into doubting the very thing that would save you. So you must fight back, not with force, but with frequency. Train your focus like a muscle. Meditate, visualize, affirm. Install thoughts like "I am intentional," "I attract solutions," "I deserve expansion," "I live by purpose, not programming." Speak them, feel them, breathe them until your body believes. Because when your body believes, your reality shifts. And suddenly, you're not trapped by your thoughts. You're riding them, guiding them, leading them. And the magnet that used to pull chaos into your life starts pulling greatness instead. Your mind is a magnet. Train it or be trapped by it. The most powerful transformation you will ever experience will not come from changing your job, or your relationship, or your location. It will come from changing your frequency. Because when you shift your frequency, the entire universe starts to rearrange itself around you. You don't need to chase people. They'll feel your new vibration. You don't need to beg for success. It will start looking for you. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. And that shift begins in the place most people avoid, your mental blueprint. The thoughts you think, the words you speak, the images you hold, the emotions you rehearse. These are not passive, they are commands. And your subconscious mind, the magnet factory, is always listening. It doesn't filter, it doesn't argue, it simply accepts. So if you say, "I'll never figure this out," it responds, "Understood. We'll make sure you don't." If you say, "I always mess things up," it replies, "Let's keep doing that." But when you declare, "I am becoming unstoppable," or "Every setback is making me stronger," your subconscious doesn't laugh. It listens and begins recalibrating your magnet accordingly. That's why most people never change. They're stuck in loops they don't even hear anymore. Their thoughts betray them. Their language imprisons them. Their stories limit them. They speak defeat into their future like it's a joke, not realizing the mind takes them seriously. Because your mind doesn't care what's true. It cares what's repeated. Repeat a lie long enough. "I'm not good with money. I'm unlucky in love. I never stick to goals." And it becomes your personal gospel. Not because it's reality, but because you made it your reality. That's why awareness is the first act of freedom. Catch the thought before it becomes belief. Question it, reframe it, replace it. Say, "This is an old story, it doesn't belong in my future, I choose a new signal." And then back it up with daily discipline. Because belief without behavior is fantasy, and fantasy is not magnetic, it's fragile. But when you act like someone who's already become, that's when the universe starts listening louder. Imagine this. A man who says, "I'm confident," but slouches, avoids eye contact, mumbles. His magnet is fractured. But a man who wakes up every day and walks, speaks, moves with clarity, even if his external life hasn't caught up, his magnet is aligned, and alignment pulls the world in like gravity. This is why millionaires don't just think rich, they move like it. Why leaders don't just hope to inspire, they carry presence. Why creators don't just wait for validation, they declare their voice. The energy comes first, then the evidence. That's how reality bends. That's how you go from hoping to having, from surviving to magnetizing. But make no mistake, this is not about fake it till you make it. This is about embodying it until you become it. Because your nervous system doesn't care about your bank account. It cares about your identity. So train it. Feed it new signals. Don't wait for the world to treat you differently. Train your mind to treat yourself differently. Speak power into your mornings. I am focused. I am aligned. I am attracting exactly what I'm prepared to handle. Then show up like it. Because repetition reprograms reality. The first few days, your old magnet will resist. It'll whisper, "This isn't you." That's not truth. That's familiarity. Your old identity doesn't want to die. But if you don't let it, your future does. So endure the resistance. Because on the other side is clarity. And clarity is the tuning fork of every great mind. When your signal is clear, you stop chasing. You draw in ideas, people, momentum, synchronicities. It all starts flowing to you, not from you. But only if you stay aligned. One weak thought won't ruin your life, but one undisciplined mind will. So protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Let's talk about mental nutrition. What are you feeding your mind daily? You can't expect to attract greatness if you consume garbage. If your feed is full of drama, distractions, mediocrity, and comparison, your mind will mirror it and your magnet will weaken. Great minds are built by selective focus. They don't let the world in carelessly. They curate their input. They protect their vision because they know the world reflects not what you see, but what you expect. Expectation is magnetic. It tells the universe, this is what I'm available for. So ask yourself, what are you available for? Drama or peace? Scarcity or abundance? Excuses or evolution? The magnet never lies. It always attracts what you've tolerated. So raise your tolerance, raise your standard, raise your signal, and let that frequency drive your decisions. Because alignment without action is still self-deception. You must move with your magnet. Decide faster, cut distractions, build rituals that match your new identity, wake up earlier, speak stronger, walk with purpose, stop explaining your worth. You don't need permission to rise, you need practice. Repetition rewires the magnet, and eventually, what felt impossible becomes inevitable. Not because the world got easier, but because you became magnetic enough to move through it differently. Understand this. Your future is not some place you find. It's something you forge in your mind first. Every great life began with an invisible frequency, an internal shift, a decision no one else saw. But it pulsed so loudly, the world had no choice but to rearrange itself around it. That's the power you hold. Right now, in this moment. You don't need to change everything overnight, but you must change the signal. Because your mind is not neutral, it's creative. It creates momentum, or misery, progress, or paralysis. The difference is in how you train it. So train it. Train it like a warrior sharpens his blade, daily, ritualistically, unapologetically. No more letting fear set the tone. No more letting history define your capacity. No more letting outside noise override your inner knowing. You're not here to drift, you're here to design. To architect a signal so strong, so precise, that everything you need begins to organize itself around you. That's not magic, that's alignment. And alignment is earned. Through focus, through discipline, through unwavering clarity. That's how you unlock the next version of yourself. The version whose thoughts are clean, whose habits are aligned, whose environment supports their elevation. That version of you is waiting. Not out there, but inside. Behind layers of distraction, programming, fear, and false identity. But once you strip it all away, once you tune your magnet to truth, that version steps forward. Powerful, clear, magnetic, and the life you thought you had to chase, it starts chasing you.